The slap wasn't supposed to happen. Lieutenant Marcus Webb had only wanted a moment of peace. One conversation without being corrected, criticized, or analyzed by the alien ambassador who made his blood boil. But when he finally snapped and told her she was annoying, the world shifted. That single word, annoying, ignited an ancient alien ritual, binding him to a challenge he didn't understand. One human, one alien. A duel of pride, culture, and unexpected respect. Humanity's reputation, and maybe something far deeper, was on the line. Before we dive deeper into this mind-twisting tale of conflict, culture, and unexpected connection, hit like, tap, subscribe, and share this story with anyone who loves powerful HFY moments. Every click helps more sci-fi fans find our community of storytellers. Now, let's return to Thesara Prime, where a single word just started an interstellar storm. The diplomatic halls of Thesara Prime always smelled faintly like ozone and flowers that no human botanist could identify. To Lieutenant Marcus Webb, it smelled like pressure. 6 weeks of walking on eggshells under alien ceilings that seemed to stretch into infinity. Every corridor was too tall, every doorway too sharp, every stair too precise. The Caith, elegant and impossibly graceful, designed everything for beings who stood a head taller than humans. And a century ahead in subtle arrogance, Marcus stood in the preparation chamber rereading his data pad for the 15th time. His job sounded simple. Stand still, smile, and don't insult anyone. Easy, right? Except Caith culture had about 9 million ways to accidentally offend someone. He'd already discovered at least 3,000 personally. Then came the voice. Calm, clipped, and always 2 seconds away from exasperation. Your posture is incorrect. Marcus turned. There she was again, Ambassador Liria Shan, the Caith diplomat assigned to assist the human delegation. Every silver thread on her robe screamed authority. Every word reminded Marcus he was, apparently, an uncultured barbarian fumbling through sacred ritual. He bowed just as the manual said. Ambassador. Liria's long ears twitched. 43 degrees. You were supposed to hold for 2 seconds. You held for 1.7. He smiled thinly. Close enough, right? Close enough, she said, is not a diplomatic concept. That was the start of another training session. 2 hours of corrections, tone adjustments, posture evaluations, and a deep dive into gift-giving etiquette. Apparently, wrapping paper colors signified emotional undertones. Blue meant loyalty. Red meant arrogance. Who knew? By the time Liria left, Marcus's nerves were worn thin. She paused in the doorway, perfectly poised. Your uniform fastening is off-center, she said. Correct it before tomorrow. When the door slid shut, Marcus looked down at his uniform and cursed quietly when he saw she was right. I really don't like her, he muttered. But the universe wasn't done testing his patience. For 3 more weeks, Liria was everywhere, correcting, instructing, dissecting his performance like a surgeon of manners. During the banquet, she fixed his grip on a ceremonial glass. During his speech, she wrote a 2-page analysis of every word he misused. She was always right. That didn't make it easier. By the 4th week, Marcus couldn't tell if he was becoming a better diplomat or just developing an ulcer. Then came the night it all broke. He'd stayed late in the chamber, studying the final trade protocols. His eyes were red, his mind a blur. He didn't even hear the door open. You're still here, said that familiar voice. Marcus didn't look up. Preparing for tomorrow. Your pronunciation of the 7th closing phrase is incorrect, Liria said, stepping closer. Emphasis belongs on the 2nd syllable. He clenched his jaw. I'll work on it. You should work on all of them. Your accent makes you sound provincial. He finally looked up. I am provincial. I'm from another planet. That's not an excuse for poor execution. That was it. The spark that hit the oxygen of 4 sleepless nights and a month of humiliation. Marcus stood. His voice was low, but sharp. You know what? You're so... He stopped himself. But the word escaped anyway, pushed by pure exhaustion. You're so annoying. Everything about you is annoying. The corrections, the lectures, the way you always think you're right. It's annoying. The silence that followed felt heavier than gravity. Liria didn't move. Her long ears froze. A posture his cultural guide had labeled as serious significance. And then she moved. Fast. A sharp crack filled the chamber as her hand met his cheek with the force of perfect precision. Marcus stumbled back, stunned. His skin burned. His thoughts dissolved into static. Liria's eyes locked on his, glowing faintly in the chamber's blue light. Her voice was calm, controlled, terrifyingly formal. Challenge accepted. She turned, robes flowing like liquid metal, and walked out. The door slid shut. Marcus stood there, palm to his cheek, blinking at the silence. What the hell just happened? 4 hours later, his comm device chimed. Report to Ambassador Chen's office immediately. That was how he found out. He hadn't just insulted Liria. He'd triggered something ancient, something sacred. In Caith tradition, calling someone annoying wasn't mild frustration. It was a formal challenge, a declaration that their entire being was an obstacle to honor. And the slap? That wasn't anger. That was acceptance. A ritual had begun. Marcus Webb, Earthborn lieutenant, had just bound himself to a centuries-old alien duel known as the Dual Bond. He hadn't started a fight. He'd started a war of respect, pride, and survival. And the only way out was through. Ambassador Chen didn't raise her voice. She didn't have to. The quiet in her office was sharp enough to cut steel. Lieutenant Webb, she said, do you understand what you've done? Marcus sat straight, cheeks still sore. I insulted a Caith ambassador. No, Chen said. You challenged her, and she accepted. He blinked. I what? She turned her holo display around. The translation scrolled across in blue light. To call one's presence intolerable is to question their competence. In Caith culture, Chen explained, that's a formal provocation. You've invoked the dual bond, an ancient ritual to resolve conflicts through a series of trials. Marcus stared. So I accidentally started ritual combat? More or less, she said, sighing. And if you withdraw, humanity will look like cowards. For a long second, Marcus said nothing. Then, with the fatal calm of a man past the point of disbelief, he muttered, Of course I did this. 3 days later, he stood in an arena of glass and silver before an audience of thousands. The Caith called it the strategic trial, the first of 3 challenges. Across from him stood Liria, flawless posture, unreadable eyes, her every movement a work of precision. The goal was simple: solve a simulated planetary crisis. The catch? Caith judges valued elegance. Marcus didn't do elegant, he did messy survival. While Liria built a perfect, efficient strategy of order and balance, Marcus built chaos. He added variables, took risks, laughed at his own mistakes, and improvised like a human under pressure. When the judges deliberated, the result stunned the crowd. Both competitors display merit, the elder Caith announced. Liria Shan, excellence. Marcus Webb, adaptability. The dual bond continues. He didn't win, but he hadn't lost either. After the crowd dispersed, Marcus found Liria still reviewing her performance. You were incredible, he said. She turned, surprised. Your strategy was unconventional. That's diplomatic for terrible. Effective, she corrected softly, in ways I hadn't foreseen. He smiled. That's probably the nicest thing you've ever said to me. Her ears flicked. Amusement? Maybe. Do not expect it often. 2 weeks later came the physical trial, an obstacle gauntlet built to test endurance, strength, and grace. Liria moved like art in motion. Marcus did not. He crashed, stumbled, and bled, but he didn't stop. Human persistence, the stubborn refusal to quit, became his weapon. By the end, he was bruised and limping, but still standing. The judges called it inelegant, yet courageous. To Marcus, that sounded like the best review of his entire life. Later, as medics patched him up, Liria approached. "You endured," she said simply. "That's humanity's thing," Marcus replied. "We don't quit, even when we should." She studied him for a moment, then sat beside him, breaking every rule of formality. "Perhaps," she said quietly, "that's why your species thrives, where others do not." It wasn't a compliment, not exactly, but it was close. The final trial was the ritual of speaking, a public confession of truth before both delegations. Liria spoke first, calm, composed, precise. She admitted that she'd judged Marcus too harshly, that criticism had been her armor against uncertainty. Her honesty rippled through the crowd like a quiet tremor. Then Marcus stepped forward. "I called her annoying," he began, "because she challenged me to be better, and I hated that." Gasps echoed. But he continued. "She pushed me harder than anyone ever has. Every time I failed, she reminded me I could do better. I thought she was attacking me, but really she was helping me grow. Humanity avoids conflict, we smooth it over. But maybe conflict isn't bad. Maybe it's just truth in motion." Silence. Then slowly, Liria turned to him, and for the first time, bowed, not as a superior, as an equal. The audience erupted. The judges declared the dual bond complete, not as rivalry but partnership. That night, beneath the twin moons of Thesara Prime, Marcus stood beside Liria in a quiet garden. "So what does this mean?" he asked. "It means," she said, "you and I are bound, politically, professionally, and perhaps personally." Marcus laughed softly. "You're saying we're stuck together?" "I am saying," she replied, her tone almost warm, "that you need supervision." He grinned. "You just want someone to argue with." "Correct," she said without hesitation. "You are inefficient. I must ensure improvement." They both laughed, softly, genuinely. Two worlds finding balance through friction. As they walked, Marcus touched the cheek that still remembered that slap. Funny, he thought. That sting had started everything. A war of pride that became respect, and maybe even something deeper. In the end, it wasn't a slap of anger. It was the beginning of understanding. Because sometimes the person who challenges you most is the one who helps you become your best self. And that, my friends, was "I told her, you're so annoying, but I never expected her to slap me." A single moment of frustration that reshaped the future of two species. If you enjoyed this story, if it made you feel that spark of humanity, yeah. Then hit that like button, subscribe for more cinematic HFY tales, and drop a comment below. What did you think of Marcus and Liria's bond? Would you survive a ritual of truth with someone like her? Until next time, and stay curious, stay human, and remember, sometimes the greatest stories start with a single slap.